Thanks for getting on to the Saturday afternoon edition of Hogan's European Outlook. Sorry for no video yesterday. I'm undergoing a bit of a job change at the moment, and I didn't have the chance to do a video yesterday. I'm actually now on a Monday to Friday schedule and transitioning to night shift as of early next week. So some adjustments in the personal life at the moment that prohibited a video yesterday, but starting to get into a new routine. It has been a pretty crazy past couple of months actually, with going away on holiday, purchasing a house, changing job, some of the big events of your life taking place all at once. Pretty chaotic, but yeah, hopefully things will start to settle down, in the run up to Christmas. But boy, oh boy, what an incredible past few days across the eastern portion of northeast England, as well as Scotland. We've seen just heavy, persistent rain, gale force winds battering the coast of the North Sea. And scenes like this have been pretty common actually, through parts of Fife, Tayside, Angus, Aberdeenshire. My location around the Inverness area, it was pretty miserable yesterday actually. I was out with a chap yesterday, did some deliveries locally, and pretty miserable stuff, I must admit, but thankfully it wasn't anything on par with what we're seeing and have seen in the last couple of days across the eastern portion of Scotland. Thankfully the conditions are easing off today, but it's not all plain sailing. We do have more systems coming in from the west as we go through next week, and no massive changes really, I must admit, in the overall setup here. But it was a close start across the western portion of the UK, and particularly so Northern Ireland. We had Catesbridge, a well-known coal spot. Happened to visit that site back several years ago, and yeah, -4.2 this morning. I think that is the coldest temperature of the season so far, I believe. Anyway, Cromer in Norfolk only dipping to 8 degrees last night, so a bit of a contrast. Nothing huge really, but a bit of a contrast nonetheless over the UK. Looking at the setup at the moment across other areas, Canada, where a lot of the cold is actually focused on at the moment, northern portions of the United States, or a large swathe of the United States, actually, should I say, is bathed in almost January-like conditions, and the first 40 below zero has been recorded in parts of northern Canada. Thierry Goose, another person that provides some tremendous tweets. Actually, that the lowest temperature was in fact -41.5. That was the coldest temperature at Eureka in Nunavut territory recorded in the last 24 hours or so. These are the temperatures, by the way, this morning over North America. So we're seeing plenty of -20s, some -30s across the far north, and we've got freezing temperatures well into the southern half of the United States, -3, -4, all the way into actually central portions of Alabama. Looks as if Florida has kind of just escaped the freezing conditions, but certainly the cold has dug all the way down into the north of Texas here, where we're seeing temperatures as low as -7 at Amarillo Airport, and up in the mountains of California, -17, as you can see here, -20s across parts of the mountain west. So certainly is midwinter conditions. Looking at Europe as of recording, and the time, of course, is 1:15 in the afternoon. Can I get back to the Europe view to see what we're looking at currently? You can see here that we do have quite a bit of chilly conditions now digging into the eastern half of Europe, even into Central Europe, all the way to the Netherlands here. As you can see, temperatures hovering just above freezing, if you notice here. So the cold air is not that far from UK shores, if you notice here. What we've got is a setup that is keeping things rather interesting here. Let's have a quick look at the overview chart here, and this is the current view, and you can see what's happening. So we've got an area of high pressure stretched out between, to the west of Scandinavia, right across into Russia. What we've got is easterly winds. We've got an area of low pressure providing snowfall across parts of the Baltic region into even north parts of Germany. And the cold air is reaching all the way to the Netherlands here. Remember 2011-12? It was such a teaser. We had, of course, the stormy conditions in 2011 December. We had a wind gust of 165 miles per hour over the northern portions of Scotland. Cairngorm had such a freezing winter actually across parts of the near continent. We had -18, -19 in parts of the Netherlands. The southeast of England did get a taste of freezing conditions, especially across the southeast of England during, I think it was January of 2012. But on the whole, it was a winter that was so close but just so far in terms of the cold reaching the British Isles. And at the moment, we've got a setup where we've got low pressure Atlantic winds coming into the British Isles, but we're essentially just not seeing that cold air reaching the UK. And this is something that I'm kind of wanting you to be aware of as we go into the winter season, is we can get the perfect setup, but the cold is blocked by frontal systems coming in off the Atlantic. If you do not shut down the Atlantic, we always run the risk of staying on the warm side of the boundary between, Siberian or continental air versus Atlantic air. And that's exactly what we've got at the moment here. We've got systems coming in from the west. We are going to see hill snow. The air is cooling in the mid levels of the atmosphere. But as we play through this loop, you can see here that high pressure system over Russia continuing to draw cold air off the deep portion of the continent westwards, trying to get towards the British Isles. But we've got still systems coming in from the west southwest, and therefore we do not see the cold conditions coming in. Then we'll start getting into a fairly stormy active period here. Notice that the storm track's getting forced south all the way down into the Azores region. So chilly, stormy conditions all the way down here. So this has a bit of a negative NAO look. You notice here the build-up of pressure linking from Greenland to Scandinavia. We're continuing to see cold air getting filtered in from east to west here. But without getting that Atlantic shut down and that high pushing all the way to the British Isles, we're not going to get the cold conditions. So let's not jump too quick. That was, of course, the title of my video just a couple of days ago, about not jumping too quick. Despite a negative Arctic oscillation, despite negative North Atlantic oscillation, negative EPO, WPO, Mann-Julian oscillation, everything can come together, folks, just perfectly. And it still does not guarantee the setup. Notice here, by the time we reach Sunday the 27th of November, very deep area of low pressure, not that far away from UK shores. And of course, this is a wee bit out. So, some of these very deep areas of low pressure may be missing on the models at the moment, the British Isles. But, with each new run, it may fade, it may hold, and it may also get closer to the UK. So I think we've got the opportunity between now and the end of the month to see some pretty stormy conditions, I think, at times, depending on this setup here. But we've got the pressure built up to the north. We've got a more south displacement of the jet stream. And, it is a somewhat interesting pattern, that's for sure. Looking at the rainfall for the last 60 hours, it looks as if Char, is that in Aberdeenshire? I can't remember, I'm not sure. But a place called Char has received 186.8 millimetres of rain in the last 60 hours, which is quite interesting. 13 official gauges have recorded over 100 millimetres of rain in the last 60 hours or so. So incredible stuff. And it's very interesting, the amount of rainfall that we're seeing during this month at the moment across the parts of the British Isles and even the south of England, by the way. We've got flooding, and we'll see more heavy rainfall coming as well. This has some kind of similarities to 2009, even 2010 as well. Heavy rainfall, flooding conditions, and then we did see cold following that. So we'll just keep our eyes certainly close to this setup, I think, as we go through the next couple of weeks here, I think. Looking at the latest GFS forecast for the 10 HPA level, we've got a pretty strong and robust polar vortex at the moment. A little bit of a stretch pushing into North America. We've also got some stretching into the central portion of Eurasia. So we're seeing the cold at the moment over North America. We're seeing it over Eastern Europe, Western Europe at the moment. We're not getting the right orientation of the ridges and the troughs and whatnot. Play through the loop. You notice the stretching of the PV. Notice the core is cooling into the mid to high -80s. Very strong polar vortex at the core. Notice this surge of strong warming coming off Asia at the moment. That's quite interesting. And it's stretching the vortex. It's stretching it out. It's pushing a piece of it towards North America. It's pushing a piece of it towards possibly Eastern Europe. And therefore, you would say to yourself, as we go through the early portion of December, do we start to keep our eyes on cooling conditions over Central and Eastern Europe, North America as well, the UK, right in that boundary, and we could be left out in the mild conditions with the Atlantic, or it could turn interesting. Looking at the latest run of the CFSV2 as well here, by the way, this is the weeklies. You can see here the big strong high to the north. That's forcing the jet further south. We're right in the heart of that Atlantic flow at the moment. It's just a wide open door to Atlantic systems moving across from northwest portions of the Atlantic. We've got a big contrast in temperature between the subtropics and the colder climes. Powering a strong jet stream, of course, when you've got a cold North America as well, you increase the jet strength over the Atlantic. That's moving into the British Isles. We're seeing that strong ridging taking place here. As you can see here, this is week 2, and week 3 we'll start to see building of pressure. So we're kind of essentially shutting down the Atlantic if this is correct. This is the period between the 2nd of December and the 9th of December, by the way. This would be an interesting look because we've got the building of pressure across the Ural Mountains, the Northwest Atlantic, central portions of the North Atlantic shutting down. But again, all it takes is for the heights to be stronger across Biscay, across France. And again, it's incredible how the setup needs to be just perfect. And like I've said in recent times, it's as if it's becoming harder almost to get a cold pattern in the British Isles just based on everything that's going on at the moment. There is not one common denominator. It's a whole mixture of different things. Look at this here, but this is the 9th through the 16th of December. We've got a nice strong positive here over the Atlantic. So therefore you would expect possible northerlies to start taking hold if that was, of course, true. And then as we push towards the period of Christmas, we've got the the collapse of heights over the North Atlantic and the build-up of pressure across the southern UK and France. That's a classic positive North Atlantic oscillation pattern. So yeah, that's the latest CFSV2. Take it, of course, with a pinch of salt. And lots of things going on. So keep it right here on my channel. I do appreciate you watching. Thanks for your patience. Sometimes I miss a day or so. But I appreciate you sticking right here, and we'll continue to watch this interesting pattern in the run-up to the 2022-2023 winter. Thanks for watching. Please like, please share with your friends and family, and hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching. Have a great weekend. Bye for now.